reason didn't think of the Enigma, but I knew it was going to be something off the bat, like off the wall. It was going to be like, it wasn't going to be a standard pick. Like, the clockwork just seemed too obvious.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the Enigma off lane for Bulldog, who I've never seen play this hero. There's probably some guy that watches this stream 24/7 and has seen him play it like 3 times, and he's going to tweet at us and say, like, I can't believe you don't know that.
Bulldog Enigma, #1 EU. All right, well, we'll see how he fares on that Enigma, as we do have our lane phase being set up here. Kind of some question marks as about to where everyone goes. Seems like Alliance are going to be starting off with an invasion into the enemy jungle. Ninjas in Pyjamas, meanwhile. We've got Limp playing the Bristleback. Jonas is actually playing the Queen of Pain, a repeat performance from game #1. This doesn't necessarily mean he's going off lane, as... well, he's facing up against a Bane and a Wind Ranger. That would be double the Sables, most likely. That's kind of scary. But Alliance are actually sending Mad and Pycat at bottom instead. Why do you think that is? Just to make sure that Bulldog gets good farm as a safe laner?
I'm not actually entirely sure.
They might actually catch him here. Split Earth and last couple of right clicks. Wasn't sure if that Fissure was going to be enough of a stun duration to be able to get that kill, but sure enough, the cast followed up, and then finally the Split Earth ensures that Era does pick up first blood.
And a little bit of a change is, Limp this time, like you said, it looks like he is going to be playing that mid Bristleback. I think they were really, really happy with Jonas and Fan's performance on that Queen of Pain in that last game, and said, screw it, we'll give it to you again, even if the lanes might work out a little bit better this way. And it actually looks like Jonas is going to be playing that bottom lane, and
yeah, this makes sense.
An aggressive tri-lane.
Yeah, the aggro tri-lane. Honestly, NiP have a powerhouse tri-lane with the Earthshaker, Witch Doctor, and the Leshrac. We just saw the power of the triple stun lineup being able to get that first blood, and then that is exactly why I think they're trying to rotate out to this bottom lane, where Loda and Ake are now going to be trying to farm up, and they've got Mad as well as Pycat, who are going to be sitting in the middle lane up against that Bristleback.
Yeah, and NiP has some really interesting smoke gang patterns, and good job on them, but Alliance doing a really good job. They correctly read the lanes and went for the best possible combination to give themselves the advantage. Like, Wind Ranger should smash Bristleback, I think. The Enigma should survive in that short lane, and you're giving a hero or a player like Bulldog like the best possible scenario. Like, when I watch Bulldog play a hero like Nature's Prophet, for example, it just seems like he understands the angles at which they're going to come at, and he's just being as annoying as possible right now, denying so many creeps from Era. And at bottom, I mean, the Queen of Pain should be able to survive, but she's going to take heavy losses to be able to do this. And Era got the last hit on first blood this time and not her. So, good lane setup by Alliance so far. And it feels like, for me, going back all the way to TI3, it just felt like they understood how teams are going to lane, and they understood how to dodge disadvantageous lanes.
You could see the power of Bane. We've actually talked about, I believe Loda and I talked a bit about Bane in our cast, the Vengeful Spirit versus Bane setup, essentially, and which one would you rather have? And he was talking about the stats of Bane. Well, you can really see the power of the early stats on Bane when he's coupled up with a Wisp, allowing him to be able to have the movement speed to get a lot of right clicks. But now, Matt has been too far forward. Hanskin waiting it out, looking to be able to get that Fissure. Matt is getting away now, but the Fissure finally lands, and they will be able to right click him down. Ake couldn't get the bottle charges up in time.
Yeah, and Mad just got a little bit too low. I think he just played with fire a little bit too hard. I think the correct move there is just to go for the brain sap or the sleep. He leveled the brain sap, and just make sure that you're going to survive there, because once Ake comes in, you are going to get the heal, and Ake does get the rune, and he's got the angle on Matt as well. Like, he should be perfectly fine here.
Yeah, actually, unless they get a Fissure block, Ake can't actually get through that one anymore. The Queen of Pain, though, forced back as Loda moves very offensively to make sure his Wisp stays alive. Yeah,
and this Bristleback is actually doing quite well in this mid lane. I haven't played this matchup, so maybe I over-exaggerated how well the Wind Ranger does. I presume just Bristleback against most range heroes is going to struggle, but it looks like he's doing a fine time, so...
Well, he did get a haste rune for the 2-minute rune, I'm sure. The rune control is going to play a pretty critical factor for this bottle Bristleback. Seems like that's probably a primary reason why he's gotten so much CS. The early bottle allowing him to be able to keep his HP up and spam out even more quills to ensure easy CS. I mean, this is always a bit of a problem with melee versus range matchups. You take a lot of harassment, yes, but usually the melee hero will be able to get a bit more CS. Bristleback not having more damage than the Wind Ranger, but when you couple it with the quills timed at the right time when you're going for that last hit, it does make an overwhelming amount of damage.
And now Matt is actually left here all alone as Loda has switched to this top lane, and interestingly enough, once again, Jonas and Fan opting not to go for the dagger, which would allow him to harass Loda. Maybe he thinks if the Wisp comes, it's a little bit pointless for him to go for the harass at all. And Era has rotated as well as nobody really showing up to this bottom lane. And I think this is the correct decision by Bulldog. Just go to the jungle. Like, there's nothing to be had at bottom. Only death.
Yeah, Jonas. They're actually going to try and turn and kill Ake. The screen goes out, but it's not in range. Loda actually drops pretty low. You can understand the idea there. Jonas didn't actually want to offensively blink towards Ake in order to get close range for the screen. Jonas may still be caught
He doesn't
here.
have blink
He
up.
does get the stun toss up, and there goes the Queen of Pain. No, maybe not. Jonas actually going to get the wand, blink away to the side, and can he survive? Era's now going to be able to come in. They have the cast. No, they don't. Actually, 2 more mana, and they will be able to get that stun finally with the split earth following it up, and the lightning bolt to finish him off. Loda thought he had a kill in Jonas, but just barely missed out, and instead he is the one who goes down.
All right, Jonas is insane. Being able to survive there, what a player. And it's the bait of the century as Era comes in, able to get the kill on the safe laner. And this is not what Alliance wanted as a start, as once again NiP jumped to a decent lead. And I don't think this is going to be like last game, because neither of these teams have an all-in lineup. As Alliance, though, they did need a little bit of a better start, because the IO has to be in that top lane. He can't stack any camps, so there's no recovery stack available for Loda.
Limp continuing to spam out against Pycat, already up to 4 different quill sprays because of his quick turns. I'm watching Limp, and he's really good at microing his hero. So when the harassment comes in from Pycat, he turns his, if it's not his full back, it's at least the side reduction. So he's being able to get those extra quill sprays out from the trigger of Bristleback.
Oh, I just saw it right there. So good job by him so far, being able to survive this lane. And any sort of even trade at this point for NiP is successful because they are ahead in terms of kills and deaths. And Limp just pushing out this lane with so much damage now with the quills. I heard a lightning storm at top, and Era is actually completely out of mana, and he's going for the Soul Ring build.
So an early Bloodstone eventually for our Leshrac, or at least if he continues this free farm. Of course, he's had to move around quite a bit. NiP are continually trying to rotate to shut down the Tiny now. Tiny is currently bottom lane. He's going to go up against Jonas and Fan. Once again, toss up in the air. Jonas gets dropped pretty low, but he's still got that health potion. And I wouldn't be surprised if NiP TP down with the Witch Doctor and Leshrac in a few seconds, just to be able to continue to pressure the Tiny Wisp combination.
I think they're just trying to mess with Loda as much as they can and slow down his timings. I think they understand that Loda is such a good player at snowballing, and if you just give him a little bit, he really runs off. But this game, NiP have really just kind of focused him down, constantly switching lanes to make things as miserable as possible for him. And it's actually been Mad who's had the best of it in terms of farm. But at top, they're going to make a go at him, but they don't have the mana for this.
Era completely with Split Earth, and now with the charge, they're going to be able to get some sort of shackle shot to lock Seal Kid in further. Sure enough, Fisher interrupts though, and Era is there to make sure that his support stays alive. Seal Kid able to dodge that power shot, and they get out for free.
This was a big rotation though, as Pycat, their mid player, immediately comes to top, and Limp with the DD rune is going to do so much damage to this tower. I actually think they should glyph right now, as it's already taken 400 damage.
Yeah, you can see Limp actually really committing to take down this tower as he's popping quill sprays when there's no creeps around. He just wants those stacks of Warpath, which gives him that even more increased damage. Now, Mad didn't actually have the mana for a sleep there, so no setup sleep into a TP. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Hunskin, hello, drops the bomb! Tosses in the Wisp with the maxed out spirits held in close. Ake does so much damage when all 4 of those hit Hanskin. He just gets bursted down.
And now Alliance are on the board, and that's a pretty crucial kill for Loda, as he was a little bit under farm, but now he's got a kill and 35 CS to back him up. So he's completely caught up, and Pycat does get the deny on that mid tower, but it does mean that Limp has the jungle open to himself, and he's the lead farmer in this game, relatively untouched. Pycat had to rotate to that top lane to attempt to kill, and he's had an easy time of it, and NiP have to be careful of that Wisp Tiny combination, though it's so strong, as Seal Kid is coming in. There is no IO, but there's no way for Alliance or NiP to know that.
Yeah, so it would have been potentially a really good time for them to try and gank up the Tiny, at least put pressure on him. But as you said, they had no idea the Wisp wouldn't be there. Seal Kid hoping to be able to contest runes, but Pycat's already sitting on it, so not much luck there. As you said, Limp is still topping out the board, 51 and 4. This Bristleback is going to be damn scary, and he's actually going for what looks to be a mech without the Arcane Boots build. It potentially could be a Vanguard Crimson Guard, but usually you go Vanguard first.
Yeah, I think he might be going for the mech because he's also opted to go for the wand, which isn't 100% common, but I mean, he really seems to like it, and the mech would be a pretty good decision here, I think. It would probably make more sense to go for the Vanguard if that was your option at bottom. They're just trying to clear the wave out and allow for Alliance to push down this tier 1 tower, and nobody from NiP seems to be responding quite just yet, but the TPs are coming in, as is the Glyph.
Yeah, Lip's gonna try and force this one. He does have the early level of good to be able to slow down Loda. Seal Kid does get a really beautiful cast because it's gonna bounce between the two, but it's gonna cost him his life in the process. Loda is getting away now with the help of Ake, and Mad comes in, manages to free up Bristleback. Base left, but immediately Hanskin wakes him back up. Limp now trying to get those last couple of right clicks, but tossed up in the air. Loda stalls Limp, and it looks like with the brain sap, they will be able to force him back. So no kill there. Another snipe being laid out, but doesn't find its target. 3-3 right now on the board. We do have to give a slight mention there. We missed it on the camera, but Jonas did get sniped out by Pycat earlier from a beautiful power shot. Jonas is gonna get another one. Right click him down, and now he's gonna go for more. He knows Limp is low, and he also knows Hanskin is sitting behind that tower. Sure enough, gets caught by the Tiny first. Another kill for Loda.
And all of a sudden, what was a 3-0 lead, Alliance with 5 unanswered kills, pushing down the bottom tower as well, and NiP are going to be extremely unsatisfied with this, as they didn't really get a trade in return, and they lost 2 heroes that are really pivotal to them. They lost the Queen of Pain and the Earthshaker, and whatever good start that Jonas and Fawn had has been completely phased out.
And all the meanwhile, you've got Bulldog quietly farming up that top lane. He hasn't been a part of any of these fights. It's been NiP actually committing almost all 5 of their heroes and still losing fights.
That's the power of that tiny IO, is that you can get into 4v5 fights. You don't really care. I actually completely forgot about Bulldog. Like, I haven't checked on his hero in the last 7 minutes, but of course he's just doing Bulldog things, farming out the map, farming out that top lane and the jungle, and making himself scarce, as he almost has a fully completed mech. And this is a really good timing for it, considering that he got sniped and he had to rotate lanes constantly.
Smoke up, they're going to run right into Pycat. This is a perfect pickoff if they manage to get it. They land the split earth, but Ake is going to try and keep Pycat alive. Era has some more lightning turnaround, and they do get a really good shackle shot, but Pycat will eventually go down. Avalanche, Loda gets 2. They get the Sonic Wave, though, to finish off the Wiz, and it still turns into a 2-for-2 exchange. Loda, though, what went from a smoking pickoff on Pycat actually makes it an even exchange. Era's maybe going to be caught here. Yep, Jane's grip, and Limp can't do anything to stop that one. In fact, he's just going to be more fuel for the flame as he runs into the black hole. He lives through it, managed to get the kill on the Enigma. Thanks to the help of Jonas Safani, who's now going to try and chase down Mad. Limp wakes up. Mad does have a brain sap, though. He's going to be able to survive for a bit longer. Limp trying to commit to that kill. Mad still staying alive. Limp is going to be down. And Jonas Safani hoping to be able to get the last right click, but he can't get it. Mad, with a little bit of a magic stick charge, manages to survive through the last right click, and Jonas is going to be the one forced back. But look at this. He doesn't have a blink away for another 3 seconds. Loda and Ake, though, not going to try for it.
Still, well worth it for Alliance right there, as they do manage to take down the Leshrac, the Bristleback. The Queen of Pain does live, but she doesn't really get more than that, and I mean, this game has just been a bloodbath so far, considering the type of game that we had last game. And Hanskin, not even level 6 yet, desperately just trying to get levels, so afraid of that IO tiny combination, as Ake does pick up his level 6, and you don't want to be that solo support at that bottom lane, completely isolated out. He's just going for levels right now, as it's not even worth it for him to show himself.
Oh, wow, Ake finds himself a regen rune. What really more could you ask for? As a Wisp with a bottle tied up to that Tiny, a regen rune is exactly what you're looking for. Not only just to win fights, but just heal the Tiny back up to full without much regard to his mana or HP. So 6-9 right now, 12 minutes in. There is a significant lead for Alliance. You've got about a 3,000 experience lead and gold lead for them right now. NiP are still looking to be able to take over the game soon. It's Bristleback actually went back for a cloak before trying to complete his mech.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned right I forgot that Era said YOLO as I hit enter. I'm a little bit concerned right now for NiP, though, because most of these fights have been 4v5, and they've been really fractured for Alliance, but they're still managing to hold on and win these engagements. And Bulldog, I mean, you saw him in that one fight with that black hole. That was pretty sick. But he doesn't even have a mech completed yet. And once that is done, I imagine that NiP, I mean, they're going to be under a lot of pressure because what ended up happening last game where you could just kind of split up and farm, you can't do against the Tiny IO.
Right, there's just too many heroes to be able to set up the relocate if the relocate isn't enough by itself. Hanskin is trying to farm up these camps. The smoke is going to come into play, though. They had the Malphus and the relocate. Hanskin, yeah, you are very dead. Fiend's Grip plus the relocate both being used to make sure that Earthshaker doesn't get anywhere close to his Blink Dagger.
And that's the concern right now that he always has to worry about. We saw Hanskin in this area of the map constantly just like holding place. He never ran away from it. He finally pokes his head out and decides he's going to farm just one creep wave somewhat near his tower, and he immediately gets picked off.
The mech now finished by Limp. We'll see how successful this pickup is because we already have the counter mech from Alliance's Bulldog. Or at least will have it as soon as the courier gets to him. Looks like they want to go for some sort of smoke plays. Hanskin TP's in with the smoke ready to go. They're going to bring back Era first.
That's a fully completed Aghanim Scepter now by the Tiny.
Damn, that is just a little bit too late. Even if they do find the Tiny at this point in time, which he is in a very good position if they manage to get him. Unfortunately, they're farming up the Ancients, and NiP are looking in the jungle.
Yeah, and Loda's actually getting quite low. He's not quite strong enough yet. Like, he's still only level 9, is what you have to remember, but he should be able to clear this out as he does get healed up.
Yeah, pretty sick. Okay, already with the Urn, he'll be able to go for the Glimmercade because he doesn't have to worry about going for a mech this game that's already on Bulldog. It's always lovely as a Wisp when you don't have to worry about the mech pickup.
Oh, for sure. Like, going for something like the Glimmer Cape really helps, especially against NiP's lineup. Like, look at their lineup. That is about as magic-based as you can possibly get. And we saw the effectiveness of the Glimmer Cape in that last game when Matt decided to pick it up. And Bulldog, just doing Bulldog things, is him and the Bane alone are able to push out this bottom tier 2 tower. And NiP know they can't defend it because the Tiny and the IO could be there at any moment. So they're going to give this up. But meanwhile, in middle as well, Loda and Pycat just beating away at that tower. This could just be 2 towers for free.
Yeah, but tier 2 being traded off for the tier 1 at the top lane, and the middle tier 1 dropping quite low as well. Lions gonna be super happy with that trade-off. They quickly bounce, though, as NiP form a response, and instead they're just gonna go back to farming, because why not? They've got a Tiny Wisp. They don't really need to worry about trying to push down towers this game. They can afford to go late.
And NiP have just lost a little bit too much in terms of towers, and right now they are struggling with levels, and they've completely lost control of their jungle, which is huge for their team. Like a hero like Leshrac or a hero like Earthshaker, I mean, pretty much their entire team relies on the jungle a little bit, and you see such an aggressive ward placed out. Bulldog and Matt are almost always on that side of the map. Things just get rough from here as they go for the 3-man smoke gank, and they're just trying to completely secure out the jungle, and they might even go for Era here at bottom.
Yeah, this could be a big pickoff. They may even utilize Black Hole.
There's no way that Era knows this is coming. Like, this would be such a surprise game. They're going to wait on top of the hill so he has 0 time to react. Are they in position for this? Era's coming up.
Yeah, there goes the Fiend's Grip, already setting that one up. They drop the Midnight Pulse and just trying to right-click him down before the response is there. Sure enough, Hanskin gets off the Fissure, but it's too late. Pycat's last right-click secures the kill. Limp now having to deal with Ake as well as Loda. The Bristleback dropping quite low, trying to slow down Loda as best he can. There is a toss up. Avalanche in just another 4 seconds. Limp actually trying to turn around as he heads down river, but ends up getting caught by the toss. There's a Avalanche coming its way. Matt also with the brain stab, almost enough damage, and sure enough, Loda finishes him off for a mega kill streak by 17 minutes.
Yeah, and we saw Loda get killed early on, but I mean, he's caught up in a big way, picking up that Aghanim Scepter at a really reasonable time. 17 minutes in, he's got 2,000 gold to go with it. That should be a Hyperstone, or maybe a BKB. Actually, a BKB is like 10 times better. No, he actually might just go for the Hyperstone because he feels that they're far enough ahead.
Yeah, I think the Leshrac there still not having the Bloodstone, you can maybe feel confident enough going and getting the AC instead of the BKB. If they like this, Leshrac was really a big factor, was actually sitting on a large amount of farm, and kind of same goes for Jonas, then BKB would be essential. But I think Loda's right, that Alliance are just simply too far ahead, and they can afford to go for the straight carry Tiny now.
Yeah, and they're going for definitely the offensive maneuver here as the Bristleback just doesn't have enough farm, and he's sort of tanky, but just not enough. Like, he doesn't have enough armor to contend with this Tiny, who's got the Aghanim Scepter and the level 11. And NiP, they don't really have any core items on anybody quite just yet. Like, the Queen of Pain is desperately trying to work on an Orchid. The Earthshaker doesn't have... Really, he's nowhere near the Blink Dagger. There's no Aghanim Scepter that's going to come on that Witch Doctor. Right. And NiP, I mean, even Era, kind of their Rockeye field, doesn't even have a Bloodstone at 18 minutes into the game.
Yeah, especially considering he's going like straight Bloodstone, no upgraded boots, no other stat items, and still not having that Bloodstone is a very bad sign for him. He's actually only sitting at 5k net worth. That's behind all three of the cores of Alliance, most notably Loda, who's about to break that 10k marker before the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, and he's just hitting up this top tower, and a TP response is coming. It's always got to be Limp, because he's the only person that can survive that two-man rotation. But even now, Alliance are just kind of forcing NiP to play reactively. Era's getting really close to his Bloodstone now. I think like 20 minutes is when he'll get it. But if he gets ganked up right now, that would be so bad for him. And they do know that Matt is there, but again, they're just kind of playing with him. And even Pycat's gone for such a greedy build. Like, he opted to go for the Hand of Midas before getting anything else. I'd imagine this is a Aghanim Scepter. You could go for a Blink Dagger if you're really, really cheeky, but I don't know if that's the case here.
At a certain point, NiP do need to try and force something. Is it with the Bloodstone pickup, or what other items are you looking for NiP to pick up before they start trying to offensively, like, 5-man into towers?
Wait 1 second, as Limp might actually run into both of these. I think if you're Alliance, you go for the Roshan and then just push down all the tier 1s at some point. Or maybe even just go for the tier 1 first. Because right now, NiP are struggling for farm. Like, you can hold this pace right now, and you'd still probably win the game by 30 minutes. If you're NiP, you have to get core items somehow. Like, I don't exactly know how they're going to accomplish that as Hansky gets caught up in the shackle.
Loda's going to be able to dunk him real quick, especially with the focus fire being laid out. But can they actually turn this one? Loda's kind of caught here as Limp's going to go for him. Ake, though, with the quick relocate out. Good attempt to the splitter, but that's not going to be good enough. Oh, Yoda's now going to be caught with Admiral Bulldog right on top of that one. Feed sprint, and potentially even the Malphite being used. Brain Sap will finish him off. Bane picks up yet another kill. Easy saves for Alliance and kills, pickoffs all across the map.
Yeah, and Mad, I mean, you're seeing him have an absurd amount of impact this game, 2, 1, and 6, but the stats don't even tell the real story is he's been everywhere so far. That ultimate, I mean, every single time it's up, it seems like he goes for a kill. And Alliance are going for this tier 1 tower mid. I think you just keep going maybe, and then go for the Roshan. Because Matt has that medallion, like, you could go in either order. Like, it doesn't matter, because NiP aren't really going to contest this.
Yeah, it seems like Alliance, quickly countering out the wards based around Roshan, so that will free up Roshan, hopefully, for them in the next few minutes. Obviously, they're not going to try and take it right underneath NiP's nose. That would be a bit too ballsy, but they will take this Ancient stack instead.
Yeah, now that he's level 11, he's able to do this quite easily, as Loda is getting really close to that Assault Cuirass, and with it and an Aegis, I think they could actually go high ground. Got 1,700 gold. Okay, that's a fully completed AC at 21 minutes with the Aghanim Scepter.
Meanwhile, you've got like Limp, who's probably also struggling to get his Assault Cuirass, but he is nowhere near that amount of farm of the Tiny. So they will have that big armor advantage going the way of the Tiny. The minus armor obviously kicking into play as well. And meanwhile, I'm still looking towards Earthshaker going, when are they ever going to get a Blink Dagger?
Unless they win a really big fight, I don't think he's going to get a Blink Dagger by even the 30-minute mark. Because how are they going to actually pressure towers against a tiny IO? Like, if you go for any sort of towers at this point, you have to be ready for a 5-man fight. And this is kind of the luxury afforded to you when you have this combination, is that it's not even about the pressure that you put on, it's about the sense of fear that you instill into your opponents.
Emerald Bulldog scouting out with this Eidolon, sees NiP. We're actually centering up 4 or 5 heroes in their own jungle. We're looking to be able to gank him up, but he quickly blinks himself away ahead of the Queen of Pain. And that leads a very fruitless gank attempt for Ninjas and Pyjamas, who are now left to just sit back and farm some more. But all the meanwhile, this Tiny is growing bigger and bigger.
Alright, Pycat's just racking up an investment right now. He's got 4,600 gold. Can pretty much go for whatever he wants. I'd imagine it's a full Aghanim Scepter. Like, he's just stacking up gold, and they're so far ahead. I mean, it looks pretty. Like, it looks nice, but buy the point booster, Pycat.
He is just refusing to. I mean, what other play does he really have? I mean, really expensive items. What would you go for? If you basically had 6,000 gold on the Wind Ranger, if you're not going to go Aghanim Scepter, what else would you go?
Silver Edge for the Bristleback, probably.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But I would imagine that the Aghanim Scepter is more useful here.
Yeah, oh dear, he is facing that one. Takes a huge amount of damage. Fiend's Grip and the Shackle Shot both being used to hold him in place a little bit longer. Black Hole, lock it in too. Sonic Wave from behind actually finished off. At least okay, a big Echo Sand being laid down. Almost enough to finish off Admiral Bulldog, who will get the last right click on Hanskin to the right side. Loda almost dropping, but Seal can't quite finish him off. Era hoping to be able to get the lightning to get these kills, but he just can't get in range. Matt now going to look to hide himself in the trees, but will be locked down by Ninja the Pyjamas. Pycat returning, huge Shackle Shot, but he can't stop the death of his ally, and he will back himself away. Alliance, I think, very lucky that Loda managed to skate away with his life intact, as that could have been a big win for NiP.
Hanskin was half a second away from throwing down that ultimate, and Bulldog was right there with that black hole. And if that Tiny actually died, that could have been a huge swing for NiP. Like, that would have been another Bloodstone charge for the Leshrac, who's already got 10. Like, right after he picks it up, he would have gotten another one. That would have just been such a huge turnaround, but manages to live at the last second as Pycat was the first one in, and there you go, the fully completed Silver Edge.
You called it, man. This means our poor Bristleback, the guy who's got the most farm on NiP, but that farm still pales in comparison to the Tiny, is now having to deal with the ultimate counter, a Silver Edge, to be able to stop that Bristleback passive.
I actually can't believe that fight was that close, though. Considering they got a two-man black hole, they got the shackle to begin the fight, and NiP still managed to hold somewhat. So that's a pretty encouraging sign.
I think that was Jonas' Sonic Wave, being able to take out the Wiz so early in that fight. And now they're going to go for the big off on Mad. Nice vision block. Mad should be done for here. The only hope he really has to make some sort of sleep play at the last half second. Can't even get that one off. There's just too many disables and nukes.
Yeah, and he gave up on life. He's like, I'm so screwed. It's like, there's no way I'm going to survive. Nobody's near me. Can't really do much in that situation, but another Bloodstone goes the way of the Leshrac, and that's what makes kills like that okay. Like, if you're getting Bloodstone charges and racking them up, like, as a Leshrac player, you're perfectly okay with getting a support, a carry, it doesn't matter. One charge is one charge.
Especially since at this point in time, it seems like NiP, with the trajectory of this game, are probably going to be playing defense. They're probably going to be defending Raxes with Alliance racking up so much farm on the Tiny. If they can get enough Bloodstone charges, having the instant respawn on the Leshrac could mean a lot to be able to continue that fight and maybe push back against Alliance as they overextend themselves. Ake and Loda are doing some work here.
Bottom lane. There's the Silver Edge going to work on Limp. Turning around won't help you out here, buddy, as Admiral Bulldog is the one to get the last hit on that, but Pycat with that Silver Edge and that Haste Rune, I mean, he just gets torn to pieces.
And now, I mean, if there wasn't enough incentive for you to stay grouped up on the side of NiP against Tiny Wiz, now you have added incentive with Pycat picking up that Silver's Edge. He is such a terrifying force by himself at this point.
And now Alliance decided to go for the Roshan. Feel like this is a good time for it. Maybe you can even go for that bottom tower. Like, just go bottom right after, instead of having to go for tier 2s if you feel like you're this far ahead. But I doubt that Alliance does that. Like, the much safer play is just to go for all the tier 2 towers out, wait for the next Roshan after that to go for the high ground. If you get any pickoffs, then you can just win the game.
Yeah, there's still a lot of farm in that top lane. Not only is the creep wave pushing in, but there's still that tier 1 and tier 2 up. So Alliance, if they want to, can look towards that lane first, defend, and then push. The Pyjamas are just going to try and make the most of the space that is being created through their split pushing. They've got a nice little ancient stack here. Got to make sure that it doesn't get fed to Loda, that's for sure. I think our Limp's going to have to immediately look to farm that one up. If they can get this stack and perhaps just a few more minutes of farm, they will be able to get the counter Assault Cuirass on Limp to attempt to equalize these fights a bit more.
Yeah, and so he's going to do the stack right now. I mean, he just needs raw armor to deal with that Wind Ranger because your Bristleback, it's your namesake. That's what makes your hero. So if you're not able to tank out anything as a result of that Silver Edge, you just need items at this point. That's the only thing that's going to save them. But as you continue to farm, Alliance just get bigger and bigger, as that's almost a fully completed BKB for Loda, and NiP don't really have anything that can deal with that. They've got the Death Ward, but it's such a low level that I doubt it does anything, and they've got the Sonic Wave, but even then they don't have the physical damage to be able to deal with them.
Era is a stacking king right now. Everywhere he goes, he's trying to stack up some camps for them to be able to more efficiently farm up the jungle. Because they know they have a very limited time as Tiny continues to crash through building after building. Alliance are racking up enough momentum to be able to push uphill quite soon. That is if they want to. They've got a BKB about to be completed for Tiny as well.
Here goes Pycat, popping that ultimate on the tower. It goes down in short order. Loda, it looks like they want to continue to push this out, as NiP aren't in the best position to defend quite yet.
They still have that Aegis to be able to utilize on the Tiny, so they might as well try and poke uphill and see what happens, but never mind. Alliance, thinking that they forced enough heroes back to base, are now going to continue to farm out, deal with the bottom lane push, deal with mid, and continue to farm. You can see 16,000 net worth on the Tiny, 11.5k on both the Wind Ranger and Admiral Bulldog's Enigma. That is all ahead of the Bristleback, who's the top farmer for NiP.
Yeah, and this Enigma has a BKB 1100 gold. Alliance just looking stronger and stronger, as NiP aren't left with a lot of options, and this is not what you want if you're NiP, clearly. You don't want to be holed up in your base against a Tiny, and I think this is just a result of a subpar laning phase, as Alliance were really able to take it to them. After that initial 3-0 salvo that was fired off by NiP, it's almost entirely been Alliance.
Oh dear, Limp, spotted out by the ward, is going to be taking a lot of damage. The Fiend Script's getting laid down, hoping to be able to hold him, but Mad finally gets a split, but it's still the pure damage coming out from Mad to finish off the Bristleback. Another carry going down for NiP, as they're only left with the options of Jonas once again struggling to split push to keep this game going just a bit longer.
Yeah, and this time he's going for the same idea, but this time around Alliance, they've got the cores to deal with it. They've completely changed how they've drafted, as they've got 2 cores that can definitely keep up and deal damage in the late game. Pycat's got a DD rune, they still have the Aegis. I think this is going to mean high ground. He hasn't even used his ultimate yet. There goes Loda with the stun. He doesn't really care, he's just trying to zone them back. The BKB's even popped for this because they want this tower right now. The Glyph is going to be popped by NiP, but can they hold on?
Gold for golds. Glyph and BKB both being utilized there. NiP trying to control Loda as much as possible, but they are just not bringing this monster down. The damage from afar, the lightning after lightning proc is still not enough. They brought down now the ranged racks, and Tiny's going to look for more. He's got the Aegis, grabs Era, looking to be able to toss him backwards, couldn't quite get it. They're continuing to try and kite this guy around. Pycat's going to be initiated on. There goes the Silver Edge. Toss Limp back into his allies. There's the cast, bounce himself around. Reinitiates a 3-man black hole from Admiral Bulldog. Locking down NiP in a last fight indeed. And Seal Kid hoping to be able to get some sort of remnants of a fight through a death warp, but no can do. NiP call GG.
Yeah, this is a quick one. This time Alliance were able to punish every single lane. From, 2 minutes on, it was just all Alliances. NiP couldn't really hold up to the pressure, and this is the issue with playing against a Tiny IO, is that if you haven't won the laning phase at that point, things just become so rough for you, as Alliance managed to even things up with a quick